intro and everything. Wait, okay, counting. All right. Hey, so I'm sorry. This is really I'm gonna go maybe PG-13 right now. It totally is two bros in a box today. Is that bad? Is that
that took me a second to
I think Joan will
a second too.
it's like
I think Joan will totally appreciate that joke.
Oh,
Sounds like a box. Oh, my box. I got it. Okay, my box. Got it. Yes.
Yes.
Now it all comes together.
Yeah, I just want to make sure because it was still two bros in a box. That joke is way darker than it needs to be. So
I was gonna say it's a little more than PG-13, but yeah. I'm not here to judge.
So awesome. Well, yeah, I'm stoked. Yeah, like you said, Danielle was just texting me. She might come to class tomorrow, possibly Friday, depending on what day I can make it. And but I was just like, we were just getting ready to start, and I was like, hey, you don't mind being put on the spot and
let's do it
in front of millions and millions of random viewers and
yeah.
So
if
so
only.
here we are. But yeah, Danielle, the owner of Ironclad CrossFit, actually put your Ironclad CrossFit in Easton, which I was just saying, Easton's, we were saying Kent Island's about halfway between here and Easton.
Yeah.
Easton's like maybe almost halfway between here and like Salisbury.
Yeah.
Give or take, because we have a coach when she goes to Salisbury, so when she's in school, she's coaching out there, and then in the summer,
nice. That's awesome.
Until she until she graduates, and then she's gonna be here forever and ever and ever.
Oh yeah.
So that's the plan. So that I can be here less. That's the goal, right?
Oh wow.
Delegate.
Can I have her?
No, you may not.
Fine.
All right, I'm gonna put your Ironclad.CrossFit. There you go.
So how long have you guys been there?
A year and a half, just over a year and a half.
Oh wow, so pretty new.
Very new.
That's awesome.
Yeah, kinda. No, it's not bad. It's been interesting. I myself have been doing CrossFit. What year is it? 2023. I've been doing CrossFit for almost 10 years now. Okay. And but I haven't lived in Easton. I used to live on the other side, right? And we moved over here about 2.5 years ago. And long story short, I went to the local box and I was like, oh no. And there's nothing else around. Like the closest one would be like Kent Island, which is not close, or Cambridge, which also is not close. Yeah. So I obviously could have done the garage gym thing. I did for a year, but I decided to go out on a whim and open up my own gym.
That's
with
cool.
my criminal justice degree with no business background. And so far so good, but it's really hard. It's a lot harder than I thought. It's a lot harder than I ever imagined. And if I had to do it again, I'm not sure that I would. Yeah. I'm in a really good spot now, but the last year and a half has literally been soul sucking. It's been absolutely soul sucking. It's just hard, it's hard. So, I'm in a really good place now. I have 4 people next month taking the level 1 cert. We did like a level 1 study group and people were popping out of the woodwork that I had no idea. And then it was naturally like, oh, wow, no, actually you would be really good at this. So they're all in the onboarding process right now for coaching, like shadowing and starting to lead like warm-ups, mobilities, the skill, the strength, that kind of thing. So then hopefully by the time, they pass, hopefully I did a good job preparing them. I'll have 4 new coaches this coming month and then another one taking it in October. Okay. So yeah, it was like a magical fucking turnaround. Oops, sorry, magical turnaround.
Okay.
It was definitely allowed. All right. I'll reel myself in.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, but it's been really hard. We just started with Healthy Steps Nutrition and wonderful program. But wow, is that very intensive 6-week program.
Is that Nicole a coin? Is that her name? Yeah.
Yeah. Great program. Awesome program. but it's a lot to get started. It's a lot to just get up and running. And, my coaches that I have now are professionals. I have a doctor, I have a registered nurse, and I have a teacher. So, awesome, great people. Yeah. 100% part-time. This is not their full-time thing. And then they all wanted to become nutrition coaches. So I was like, okay, cool. So we did that, which is wonderful, but a lot of work on these already very busy people. So it's been tough, but once we get going, we're launching a wellness challenge September 25th. So it'll be good. It'll hopefully be worth it. But it's really hard to get people who have, like, we haven't focused on nutrition for the last 18 months, like outside of just like ancillary, to now be like, okay, now we're going to focus on this and it's actually going to work. And they're like, yeah, but we're okay. I'm like, no, so I'm kind of fighting that battle, but it's good. Like it's like all coming together. It's like making it worth it. Like the last year and a half of like grind is finally all coming together.
And you guys met through Best Hour or through Affiliate U? Was that?
Yeah, we met in Denver.
Did you start with them right from the get-go? Was that something?
No, I didn't. So when I first, the first like 3 months that I was open, I was just rolling on the high of like, yay, people actually want to show up. Like, this is great, right? I got 20 people. I'm like, yeah. But I couldn't pay a single bill. And everyone's like, it'll get better. It'll get better. This is, what happens. And I'm like, yeah, okay, but when's it going to get better? Yeah. So I actually went with Fit Affiliate at first. So Chuck Bennington and Tony, they weren't my business coaches, but they're the kind of like the faces. Not so much Chuck anymore. He used to run the gymnastics course. Tony also did the gymnastics course a long time ago, before gymnastics course now, which is Bird. Good program. It was very, 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 you have a coach, and like it's very different than Affiliate U. Like, I had a business coach. We met every Tuesday at 1:00. It wasn't a bad program. I did it for 9 or 10 months. And then got to the point where I was like, okay, like I should be okay now. Like, I got this. But knew that I still wanted something. And I really like Best Hour's kind of like group model. I felt like I was better with that because I can make, changes in the days and the times, and go at my own pace for things that they want me to work on in these 6-week sprints. So it just works. It works better for me. Not that Fit Affiliate was bad or anything, but yeah. So Erica and I met out in Denver. There was actually a bunch of us from Maryland. There was like 6 boxes at least.
Yeah, there were way more than I realized. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So that's where we met.
That's cool.
Yeah. We live similar lives. 3 kids, young kids.
And then how far along in Affiliate U are you? Did you finish the full year? Is it?
Oh, no. I'm only on my second sprint. Yeah. I just started with them. Yeah. So I'm on my second sprint. And to be honest, since starting the nutrition thing, the last 4 weeks, like, I haven't even touched Affiliate U. But the good thing about it is like I can pick back up at my own pace once I'm, got the majority of this affiliate, the nutrition program behind me. Whereas like when I was working with Fit Affiliate, like there's no way I would have been able to fit like that in on a timeline. So that's one of the really good things I like about Best Hour.
So this is kind of cool. You're 18 months in, and this is totally selfish. I'm just curious. If you were to do it over again, would you have prioritized nutrition earlier?
Absolutely.
Is that sort of where you're kind of landing right now with this? Yeah. So, why? Like, what is it about it? Like, I mean, you've been doing CrossFit long enough. There's a lot of conversation out there. I'm just thinking of like, Andrew Hiller's videos. There seems to be a push on main site too of just sort of you're not doing CrossFit if you're not paying attention to the nutrition prescription as well.
So I don't necessarily agree with that statement.
Me neither, right? I'm just, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying like that's
I do think that it is important. I think that for me specifically, so I had 3 kids in 5 years, right? I'd been doing, prior to CrossFit, I was a runner. I was a long distance runner. I'm like, oh, where are my muscles? I don't know, because I'm fucking running all the time, right? Found CrossFit, immediately got knocked up, not like a bad way, in a good way, got married, got pregnant, the natural progression or whatever. And then I found that my body wasn't changing until I changed my nutrition. So pretty early on in my CrossFit career, I worked with Working Against Gravity, and I figured out like, this is what actually changes my body. Because you can only go in, you can only PR for so long. When you actually want the physical changes with your body and to fuel yourself properly, not just eat a bag of shit and then come in and, drink your face off and be super tired and all that. I mean, it's actually the whole thing. Like I said, it's not just nutrition. Like, that's why I call it a wellness challenge, is because it is hydration, it is nutrition, it is sleep, it is stress management, it is movement, it is everything. So I say nutrition because I know how important nutrition is, but really it's the whole thing. And it doesn't work as well. A circle doesn't roll as round if one thing is missing, and then you're like, well, that is nutrition. And if you're missing that, it really is a big piece. But I did see what they said about, oh, you're not doing CrossFit if you don't. That I kind of disagree.
I do too. I mean, it just seems you're parsing language at that point.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about? Right. So whatever. It's a fine conversation, and it makes for great YouTube videos, and for eyeballs on his page. Yeah, exactly. But I find it more interesting where you are in now introducing this idea that nutrition is that important, and it is a conversation worth having with your membership and with your with your community. But yet the ones that, like, at 18 months, people are kind of already habituated. So it's like, shit, if I had started this right from the get-go. But in a sense, what's 18 months, right? Like, give it another 6 and they won't even remember what was.
Yeah. And a lot of people came to me from having, like, they have CrossFit experience too. So I have probably split half and half of, like, people that have done CrossFit elsewhere. Yeah. And then half of them have started just in the last 18 months with me. And I, like, to your point, is part of it's coming in being like, okay, guys, I know for the last time that since you've been here, we haven't talked about this, but now we're going to talk about it now. And they're like, huh?
Leave me alone. Get out of my kitchen. Get out of my kitchen.
I already pay you so much money a month. And I'm like, yeah, but this is what you really need, And they're like, what else do I really need? So it's definitely been, why didn't you do this sooner? I only have so much money. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, the program was over $6,000 for us. Like, $6,000 just to get, you, not even all of you, but hopefully some of you, in a nutrition program. But, like, it's kind of like, I promise this works if you do. And, they don't see it. So hopefully once we run the first nutrition challenge or wellness challenge, get people through that, other people will be like, oh, yeah. Okay. So she has changed her nutrition. It has helped.
Right.
But more from, like, a personal standpoint, like, I know that works because it worked for me, but it only works if you do. So,
do you have any concerns around, like, how this has to change, not just sort of the nuts and bolts mechanics of the gym, but also sort of those intangible, right? Like, there's the post wellness challenge party, and it's sort of I know Nicole Christensen has talked about it from CrossFit Roots at times, where, like, you're not allowed to bring pizza to the chat to the party afterwards. So, like, I don't know if that's an accurate statement, but, like, that sort of thing.
I think she is basically, like, if it's not yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Do you have any concerns or thinking around sort of the be the change you want to see, or sort of like you kind of have to hold the hard line of, like, we will not have Coke at parties anymore? Or does
like
that,
Coke,
do you know
like
what I'm saying?
Coke or Coke like
right.
Yeah.
I'd hope, right? Like,
yeah.
Hey man,
No.
That's the after party.
It's a pre-workout.
Oh, that's the after part. Okay, yeah. So here's the hard part about me, right? I live like 80-20, right? Like,
Yeah.
I have 3 kids. Life is hard, and I understand that. So, like, if I'm not going to skip a cupcake on my kid's birthday because, you know what I mean? Like, we're probably not going to have soda ever at the gym as an option, but we're not going to not have pizza or something. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's all about moderation, because if you are a hard and fast, like, no, like, you're going to fail.
Right.
And it's okay to fail, to learn. But, like, I'd rather set people up for success. Like, let's have pizza. Hey, let's also have carrots and grape tomatoes and, Greek yogurt dip before we eat that pizza so that we fill up on the veggies instead of on the pizza. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just focusing
totally do,
on balance. Yeah, on balance. It's got to be about balance, because if you're not balanced, it's not going to work.
It's kind of like, I really like the way you say that too, because the gym models sort of that it's the place where we can test out things like that. I was the workout that was on main site recently, the 5 rounds of Cindy, then 5 minutes to do a heavy deadlift, 5 rounds of Cindy. You're not really warming up for that deadlift. And then you have 5 minutes to jump in and do something really, really heavy. So when I bend over to pick up, the dog's dog food or a bag of salt for my water softener, I'm not doing, high steps and whatever, but I mean, it's still a 40, 60, sometimes 80-pound thing I'm lifting off the ground. So like the idea that life will always be this like perfectly regimented, time delimited, specific thing. When you walk into a restaurant or a social situation, there's not always going to be like no soda, no pizza, no whatever.
Right.
So the gym can sort of be that balance. I like the way you said that balance of, hey, you can have 2 or 3 pieces of pizza. You don't have to eat the entire thing. You can have, a cocktail. You don't have to drink the entire thing or the entire bottle of Jack Daniels. I think even in a movement analogy on heavy PR day, right? Somebody's clean is just an atrocity of, spider feet and like everything's a mess, whatever. And they stand it up. Do we know rep that person and not cheer for them? Right. It's like, that was ridiculously ugly. And maybe in your sugar wad logging, like say like, hey, I got it, but not the prettiest, maybe next time it'll look a little bit better type of thing like that. That sense of 80, like an 80-20 mindset sort of being applied across all kinds of domains. I like the way you frame that.
Yeah. And also not, if you have that pizza party or whatever at the gym, you're also showing your members, hey, you can go into a social setting and not go ham on all the bad stuff. Right. Yeah. So you're kind of almost teaching them without telling them, hey, like this is how, this is how you can do it. Are they going to do it all the time? No, probably not. But at least you're showing them in a setting, hey, look, we're all together. We can still have fun without blowing up our entire week.
Exactly. And anybody who puts ham on a pizza shouldn't probably be coming to the gym anyway.
Probably not. Or pineapple.
Or pineapple.
Actually, I do kind of Hawaiian pizza.
I do kind of like pineapple. I do kind of like the Hawaiian pizza.
I
do.
For some reason, Hawaiian pizza's become like the Nickelback of pizza, and it's like there's 2 types. Like Nickelback has this great T-shirt. There's 2 types of people: fans of Nickelback and liars. And I feel the same way about Hawaiian pizza.
That's why Eric and I did see eye to eye on a lot of things, and one of them was Hawaiian pizza.
Yeah, it's delicious.
I've actually never had it, so I shouldn't judge. But
it's weird. It's like oddly enjoyable and like satisfying. And
the sweet and savory with together.
Yeah, you can only have like maybe 1 or 2 pieces, and then it's like, I'm good. Like definitely not ordering it.
For the year or for the setting?
For the year.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
I love it, man.
I really appreciate like getting to hear your perspective of sort of that like 18 months in. What would you do differently at this point? And that nutrition does sort of immediately kind of come to the top of that list, because it's always a thing. I don't know. And Eric's, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but probably still hasn't tackled it for the gym, for like the community. It was something we could never tackle. We could never sort of figure out what was the right fit, how intrusive, how directive, it never worked out.
I think it's also a matter of having the bandwidth too, because my question is: so you're gonna do a wellness challenge. So is the hope that after that, now you have a few like essentially almost like personal clients. So now is it like, are you doing more one-on-one nutritional coaching with these people?
Yeah.
Is that the idea?
100%. So the whole point of the wellness challenge is a stepping stone to ongoing one-on-one individual. So the challenge is more of a group setting. It's more, it's less individualized. So you still get the 20-minute initial consult. You still get the 20-minute follow-up at the end. You're going to get weekly check-ins online through an app. So HSN has their own app that you use. You do video check-ins. You can ask questions of your coach. So it is individualized, but it is in more of a group setting. But then from there, the point is for it to be a stepping stone into that individual ongoing nutrition. So it's not like a 28 days, you're going to change your life in 28 days. Like, let's not be dumb here. Let's be realistic. Like, this is just showing you what you can do in those times and what we have to offer in about a month's time to show you, okay, cool. You like this. This is good. Okay. You want it more personalized, more individualized. Awesome. Now let's move into an individual setting. And
what does that look like for your general population after the challenge? So like, because that's what I was saying, like having the bandwidth, like, yeah, like nutrition is it's hard to, without doing that step where it's like, I'm going to take on clients as almost like I would personal training clients. I'll take on nutrition clients. And if I have the time to do that, great. But just having it something that is like an add-on is part of your daily CrossFit prescription. Like you're already here for an hour coaching. What does nutrition look like outside of like, where does that come? What does that look like? Where does that come from? What more time does that take on my end? And really, like, are you doing it? Really, the matter is like, well, the buy-in from them, like, what is it? And so I think that's where nutrition becomes. I mean, it's a rhetorical question. I'm not asking you for an answer.
I always have one though. Yeah. What you said though about the bandwidth, the reason why I haven't done it up to this point is I didn't have the bandwidth, and I knew that. I knew that if I tried to take on one more thing, the whole damn ship was going to sink, right? Because it would just be too much. I'm already like operating at here capacity, but now with that extra coaches and everybody coming in, taking more classes, being able to work on my business instead of in my business, I was like, all right, I have three very professional committed people that are willing to give about 1 to 2 hours a month per client that they've told me, hey, yeah, I can do this. So our goal for this initial wellness challenge is to get 24 people. That would be about 8 per person. Now in a group challenge, it's going to be a little bit different. From there, you think about a 50% conversion rate. So I'm looking for them to have about 3 to 4 clients each at 1 to 1.5, maybe 2 hours. If you're really, 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 you either have somebody who needs more attention or there's 2 different levels also, by the way, there's 2 different levels. There's standard and then there's the higher option. The higher option obviously costs more money, but you get more personalized attention from that coach. So the
like
standard.
Scientology, right?
What's that?
Like Scientology.
Like Scientology?
Yeah, the more money you pay, the higher level you get, the more attention you get.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm not up to date with my Scientology, but I'll look into it. But yeah, so it's about between 1 and 1.5 hours per person per month after that. So it isn't a huge commitment as long as you can say, yes, I can make that commitment. And then we're just going to, stagger our coaches. I'm not going to try and overwhelm anybody. Like I said, they are professionals as well outside of here. So I don't want to lose them as coaches, right? And I don't want to put too much on them. So we're just trying to find that happy medium of, what can you handle? And then, go forward from there and adjust. But yeah, it's bandwidth was definitely the biggest problem before, why I didn't add it in, because I can't do it. Already, I'm not a nutrition coach. Like, I'm going through the program. All 4 of us are going through. I will be certified just like they will. Can I do it? Yes. Do I have the bandwidth to? No, which is why I have them to do it.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
You've kind of scaffolded it right from the get-go that this is not, the success and failure of this is not solely relying on you.
Right.
That's a really good way to structure it. Which
is pretty much how the gym has been, at least the first year. I had one coach.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. So then slowly, we just keep eating, chewing away, getting more people interested, more people certified, coming on, running through the onboarding program. So it's been a slow, steady crawl, but we're getting closer to the top.
What's your husband do?
So my husband owns his own business as well.
Oh,
he owns a lawn care company. Yeah, no. Oh my God, taxes. Yeah, no. So we both used to be police officers, and my husband was hit by a drunk driver 7 years ago on 270 over Montgomery County. So it was really bad. So he got medically retired. Then we had a 5-month-old at the time. So he has a TBI, he has a brain injury. It's not the end of the world, but like if you met him, you would probably just think like maybe sometimes he forgets words and talks a little bit slow. So he needed to find something that he got retired. He can't think fast, right? TBI. So he got medically retired, and that's when we moved over to Easton, and we're like, all right, what can you do? This is going to sound horrible, but like not necessarily mindless, but where you don't have to think fast. And he's always been very blue collar, very, good with people and, with his hands, and he was like, let me do lawn care. So it's just him. He wants no employees. He just him working it. He finds all these like little cohorts of like little old ladies who are like, oh, can you move my chair while you're here? And he's like, of course. I would love to. So we're both small business owners, neither one of us with business degrees or any sense of what we're doing. So
that's actually, you guys are like that's such a great story. It's like, it really is an awesome, if you're willing to put in the creativity and the grit and that you can freaking make it work.
Lemons out of lemon, they're the lemonade out of lemon sort of situation.
Yeah. Is there, I'm sure with being with Affiliate U and, working with Fern, probably at the beginning, like your, God, what does he call it? Not your value, not your value statement, but anyway, like is there sort of a vision or a dream? Like at some point the gym basically becomes the landing place for both of you, for kind of the whole family. Do you know what I mean? Like that. It's the dream all CrossFit owners have, of sort of like, it's the Oz, which we all will land and ride off into the sunset together.
Yeah, no. So absolutely not. My husband does not really do CrossFit.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so awesome. It's so funny because when I was a cop for Army County Police, I did like moonlighting on the side with Soldier Fit. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Soldier Fit. If it made its way to Annapolis yet or not, but just boot camp style stuff. So I would go, and I'm 5 years older than my husband, right? So
Bowie, right? Didn't they have it out in Bowie next to like there was CrossFit? There's a CrossFit gym, Soldier Fit, and then the jumping place.
They're all popping up.
Like a jump house. There was one. Anyway, sorry.
It's okay.
One in Edgewater. I know there's one in Edgewater. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So I started with Soldier Fit, the very first like OG. Like we were on a mat, had to take your shoes off, had to bow, all the what weird stuff. They're much better now. Very grateful for them getting me into coaching. I had always been like a coach, like, like soccer and stuff, but not like personal training boot camp. So that's kind of what got me into it. And then when we moved to Carroll County, like there just wasn't a Soldier Fit. There just wasn't. So I found CrossFit and just boom, fell in love with it. But yeah, no. So my husband's he's a hater. It's okay. I love him. He's a hater. He only went to Soldier Fit because I would coach, right? And he was trying to impress me because he's 23 and I'm 28. So, he's just trying to like, oh yeah. And I'm like, all right, whatever, kid. So, so he comes now sometimes. Part of his injury though is it was his right occipital condyle was shattered. So he doesn't have a lot of like movement like this way. So like sometimes overhead stuff, wall balls for sure are difficult for him, but he does his best. It's also very hard to coach your spouse. I don't know if you guys experience that.
No idea what you're talking about.
Don't want to listen to you, and you're like, no, and he's like, yeah, no, snatch, and I'm like, no, that's not it. So he's really busy in the summer and the spring. So we also have 3 kids, and I'm unfortunately like I'm here a lot. A lot. It's getting better, but I'm here a lot in the morning and like for pickup. So a lot of the, kid stuff falls on him. So he's not here often because if he's working during the day and then, doing the kids pick up and drop off. In the winter, he does come a little bit more. He's kind of like a creeper. Like he'll go on the app and like see who's coming, but like just not show up. So that's always fun too. But yeah, no, I think we are best served in our own separate. Partially that's me because I'm like, you don't know how to do this. Don't tell me what to do, and like, I don't know what I do. And I'm like, all right, cool. So better separate, but equal. But no, we definitely are not the quintessential, like,
you're running it together. Yeah.
Yeah. And I definitely wouldn't be opposed to selling the gym either. Right. Like this is not, well, at least in the first 18 months, I was like, I'm building this to sell it. Now that it's getting a little bit better, not my main focus, but always in the back of my mind. Like I would much rather be better served going to work for Eric and be the general manager and make way more money than being the owner hasn't taken a penny in 19 months now.
That's I actually appreciate and resonate with that feeling of there's a lot of people who want to own a business, and then the reality of what it means to actually own a business. It is a difficult admission to make to yourself of like, shit, I could just work at Walmart and coach 2 or 3 classes a week and be making 3 times as much money as I'm making right now. What the fuck am I doing?
Literally. And then that's another point of contention between my husband and I, right? Like he bought 2 pretty big badass lawnmowers, a trailer, a weed whacker, and some safety goggles. That's his overhead. It's done. It's paid for. Yeah. I have, the overhead in CrossFit, you guys know, is like, like he literally have this like age old fight of like, when are you going to make money? And I'm like, man, I am trying. He's like, oh, another 6,000 for a nutrition program. There goes, and I'm like, listen, it's not about that. I have to build the base. Yeah. I have to build the foundation. If I've learned anything in these last year and a half is like, if I don't do all the right pieces in place first and do it right, it's all going to crumble. Like I've never once put the cart before the horse. Like even with working with affiliate, I had no systems, right? I opened a gym. I had no SOPs. I had no operations manual. I had no clue. So I took the first 9 months and just hammered down on all of those systems. That was the best that came out of affiliate. It was like they had me hammer down those systems in place. So now when I am getting people who are like, hey, Danielle, I really want to work at Ironclad, I'm like, okay, cool. Fill out this. Yeah. And even still, I don't have it 100%. And I'm getting more people now than, that I ever dreamed of having. And it's been so amazing. Like the last month or so doing this level 1 study group and having people come to you and be like, I want to work for you.
Yeah.
Me here? Like this little dream that I had in my head that nobody but my therapist believed in me and I made and created. And like now people actually like want to work here.
Nicole Carroll believed in you.
Nicole Carroll believed in me.
Did you see her recently on
the Best Hour?
Yeah, the Best Hour podcast.
So I'm not gonna lie, I don't watch podcasts because I don't have time.
Yeah,
but,
right. Like that.
I also have met her in person.
Oh yeah.
She's an amazing human being. Yeah. I did the Diesel Days out in Colorado, actually at their house.
Cool. Wow.
Yeah, that was awesome. What a great experience. 10 out of 10. I would recommend that to anybody. If you want to work on your mental integrity and your mental grit, go do it. It was awesome. I didn't realize that it was her house. I didn't realize that she was married to Tosh. I didn't realize any of this, right? Like I follow CrossFit, but I don't like live my life in CrossFit. I just don't have time for podcasts and stuff. But we do CrossFit every day, but I don't like watch, the podcast.
Maybe you listen to this every week.
I didn't even know you did a podcast, bro. But anyway, so like I get to the airport and I go and I'm in this house, right? And I'm like, okay, cool. Like there's a tent for us to sleep in. And I'm sitting in the garage and I'm typing, programming feverishly and everything. And Nicole Carroll walks out and I'm like,
huh. I know you.
Huh? I'm like, hi. And she's like, welcome to my home. And I'm like, and I don't get starstruck. Like I don't usually care about, famous, whatever. But I was like, this is your house? Like, oh, thank you. You know what I mean? So it was really cool. She is an absolutely just beautiful person. Yeah. From what I've met and from what I've seen, who knows? You never know, truly know somebody, but like, she just seems like, man, she's an amazing person.
Her family's from this area.
Yes, when she did she came to was it Northeast affiliate, whatever. She said she went to go see her mom somewhere. I can't remember where she was. Yeah.
So Tosh was stationed at the academy for his last active duty tour. Uh-huh. He was a company officer at the Naval Academy at the same time that I was there, and so we were starting the CrossFit Blue and Gold, and I kind of picked his brain a little bit, and he was sort of like, I'm not going to be involved, but if you have questions, I can kind of assist. And so it was in that capacity, then that group of midshipmen at that time, there was one woman who's now like a captain in the Marine Corps, but she was in Tasha's company. They would go over Tasha's house from time to time when they lived in this Annapolis area, and we all got to meet Nicole, and Nicole would have like 9 pairs of shoes that she wasn't using, and she would just like give them to the female midshipmen. And it was just hilarious to watch, like, wait a second, I've seen you on a video somewhere, like that same sort of feeling of being starstruck, but yet not starstruck, because it's sort of like outside of a circle of about 10 people, I'm not sure anybody knows who you are.
Right.
Right. So, you're like, you're a god.
You imagine being out in public and like you just see Nicole Carroll and you're like, oh, I saw you in that Nasty Girls video. Those people surrounding you are gonna look at you kind of.
It's sort of like I always joke, my brother-in-law is and my sister did sports marketing, and NFL level. My brother-in-law was like part of the Live PGA merger that happened recently, and so it was like, yeah, CrossFit's getting kind of big, and he like laughed. I'm like, what? He goes, something about like the NFL's like towel budget is like 3 times CrossFit's gross gross revenue for the last 10 years type of thing. He's like, their quarterly towel budget is so he's like, so I'll tell you what, man, when they actually make some money, then give me a call. Because I was like, hey, what do you think about that whole like Nike Reebok thing with CrossFit? And he just chuckled and he's like, yeah, no, you're talking different universes, man. Totally different.
And different universes as far as like who's actually like changing more lives, though. You know what I mean?
Without a doubt. And so that I'm glad you brought that back. Like, that's the part where, as you said, you're not opposed to building your business to a place where it is a marketable, sellable commodity. Yeah. But at the same time, what kind of gets you there is the realization that you're doing this, and maybe it never makes it to that profit. But the fact of doing it in of itself is enough to keep you fulfilled and satisfied.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that anybody opens a CrossFit gym that they're like, I'm going to make bank. Like if you do, I don't know if you're doing what the secret is, but
the members think. I think a lot of the members think that affiliate owners make bank.
Absolutely.
Well, that's because otherwise then it is absurd and irrational to continue to own your businesses and not.
Why would you?
Right. Exactly. Just
I'm not that altruistic.
Right. Like go work at Walmart. But what I mean is like if it was just the bottom line, then you two are irrational and psychotic. That you stay in it because it's not going to ever make you quote unquote rich.
Right.
Yeah. And you could financially have more stability in a different way. But as you just said, Danielle, are you really you'd have to probably create a completely bullshit narrative for yourself to say that you're affecting and positively influencing the same amount of lives than you are right now. And
right.
That's the part that's like, quantify that. I can't quantify it, but it's worth it. And so like, that's the part that, I don't know how you convey that to somebody until they actually do it. And then it's like, well, I don't have to sell it to you because it's your damn business. So there you go.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Just like being able, and this is like all like sensitive and feelings and whatnot, but like being able to actually, which I'm not good with clearly, but like being able to help that many people. Like I have a guy who came to me and he like very depressed. I wouldn't say suicidal, but was like, hey man, if it's my time, it's my time. And has worked with me now since the end of February and lost over 50 pounds and like has a different outlook. Like he's still, struggles, but he has like a completely different outlook on life. Outside of that, just people that come to me are like, I am so grateful for this place. I'm so grateful for these people. I'm so grateful for you, for creating, and all this stuff. And it's like, it's just a really good feeling that you, like you said, you can't put a dollar sign on. You just can't. Like, it's impossible. And I guess that is the driver behind all of it. Yeah, money would be nice. I would love to make more money. And to Eric's point, like, people think like, you know, we make a ton of money. They're like, oh, look at all those names on the board. And they all pay, you know, X amount of dollars a month. I'm like, yo, look at all my bills. You want me to show you? Like, I will show you why that's not enough members. But if you're doing it for money, it's tough. If you're doing it for, you know, the more sentimental reasons of like actually helping people and like changing lives and affecting change in the world, you're in the right place.
Yeah.
You gotta find that balance. It's hard. It's really hard.
Good. It's I think that's something
totally okay to want to make money too. Like totally okay
absolutely.
Both things can be true.
Both things can be true. I just had a price change, right? I just raised my prices. I was undercharging. I was undervaluing my services, and I did I call it a price adjustment because some people ended up paying like $5 less. Some people paid $25 more. Yeah. And I look at these people, and you know, I got a couple people push back, and that's okay. It's okay to ask questions. I don't mind questions. And I'm like, do you really feel, with all of the stuff that I've put into the gym, all of the equipment, all of the everything, that you don't value $1.67 more per class? If you don't, then no problem. Yeah. You know what I mean? But if you're looking at it from a macro lens here, looking into a micro lens, like, it's $1.67 more. What can you change in your life for the benefit to cover that $1.67 more a class? And so, you know, I was also I'm like, man, you pay $114 a month for unlimited classes. Let me tell you that when I joined CrossFit 10 years ago, I paid more than that. So now we're at a better price point, you know? Yeah. So, you know, raising the prices, you know, it happens. People ask me, oh, please don't raise the prices again. This is not a not-for-profit. Like, there's going to be price increases. It's written in. When you sign that line, you understand that. I put it even in my contract. There are going to be price increases, and they don't have to, you know, they're not necessarily be annually. So not to mean that I'm going to change my prices tomorrow, because I just did, but like, this is a business. This is a business. We can be friends, but when you're asking me questions about my business, I'm going to put my business hat on now and respond. And so that's been interesting navigating that lately.
It's always that's that conversation of value. Is that's always I feel like that's the conversation that when you're able to have it honestly and openly and with transparency of like what it is, that's sort of a sign that you are an owner or an operator or even just a coach that knows what they're doing. Because I think about it, even just if you I like the way you said the macro to the micro. If I let an athlete continue to short their range of motion on a movement because I don't want to offend them or I don't want to make their experience bad, right? What am I telling that athlete what I value? To me, and I get maybe a little aggressive, basically what I'm saying is I don't give a fuck about you. Is that if I let you get away with that, regardless of how much I say, I love you, I care, I really want this to be important, I want to change your life, but then I let you do that, knowing full well that is going to shorten,
make you better.
Yeah, exactly. Then my actions are actually telling you that I don't give a shit.
Right, and your actions speak louder than your words.
Right, and until I am at a place personally that I'm willing to admit that and then change it or express it or even just have the conversation that explores it, then I'm not actually the demonstration that somebody is not able to charge what they're worth and to explicate why they're charging what they're worth. And in the context of that being a question of value, not a question of dollars and cents, because money's not a thing. It's just a representation of what we value. Time is your commodity. That's the resource that is in scarcity. And so what you are saying to people is like, I have 3 people that I can give my time. 4. You have 4 people that are the most important. Well, 5 really, if you count yourself, that you can give your time to: yourself, your kids, and your husband. Right? Like that's it. And so what you're telling those people at the gym is they are as important as those 4 and the 5th being you people in the world. And because of that, you have to charge them a certain rate because you're not spending it with those other people. So you're having to pay somebody else to do that because money is the only means of exchange that we have to equate to that resource that is actually of value. And that's our time. And so in a sense, like until somebody can have that conversation, I'm not sure they're really at a place where they can run a successful business because that's the question of value. Like that's what we're talking about here. So I love the fact that you're able at a year and a half, having the courage to openly say like, hey folks, I'm undercharging and this is what I'm going to charge. But if you got a problem with it, we can have a conversation about it because it's a question of value. That's very heartening for me to hear from you, as I think you're going to be around a lot longer than maybe some of your peers.
Yeah, I hope so. And also to your point about like, with the athlete, with like the shortening their range of motion, with having these new coaches coming in, I specifically am telling them, you're not their friends, right? When I am coaching, you're not friends. And it's not because I'm trying to be mean to you. I'm trying to make you better. So it's, very similar to that point where you're talking about, that shortening that range of motion. And also when you're coaching, like, I think it's even in the level 1 handbook where it says like that you don't want to be the popular coach. You're not actually coaching if you're the popular coach. If everybody likes you, are you really coaching?
Yeah.
And
there's also a question of what they like.
What is it was like?
Yeah, exactly. And so this, I'm a bit of a word nerd, and in Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics, chapter 6 is all about, or book 6 is all about friendship. And there's a myriad of nuances in that idea of what is friendship, friendships of utility, friendships of situation. And then there's this thing called a virtuous friendship, where if you're a person of virtue and I'm a person of virtue, and virtue being the highest thing to which we are striving, then we can be friends. Because I'm not actually, if you're a person of virtue and I'm a person of virtue, I'm not actually wanting the best for you. I'm wanting the best for virtue. And so if you're virtuous, then it doesn't matter to me that I'm giving it to you. I'm just giving it to virtue. You're just the medium through which the exchange happens for us to all be striving towards virtue. So in a sense, if you're an athlete who gets offended, irritated that I call you out on a movement, all that tells me is you're just not a virtuous athlete yet. Like that's like, because in a sense, I can still be your friend. Like I can say like, but I'm not a friend to you. I'm a friend to your movement. I'm a friend to your progression. I'm a friend to your ability. I'm a friend to what your stated goals were, that you want to lose 50 pounds, move and play with your grandkids, blah, blah, blah. It's like, great. Well, you said that that's what you are. I'm a friend of that. And if you're in conflict with that, then that's not me. That's you, man.
Right.
But do you see, like, those are the types of things that like, I would have those conversations with some athletes. They'd be like, I don't understand what you mean. I don't get it. And I'd be like, you know what? Just fucking go deeper. All right. And just drive your knees out.
Do the damn thing.
Yeah. And take all those plates off of that bar because you're not lifting that.
Yeah.
You have no business. You have no business putting that over.
You're not getting hurt today. Not on my watch.
Sorry. Yeah.
No. It's good. It's good.
Well, I don't know. I'm looking at the clock. You said you had to go, but we'll keep you here as long as you'll stay.
Oh, it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
I don't mind talking. I can catch the 9:30 class. It's no big deal.
So I just go back I remember when you texted me like right after you sent your email for the price adjustment. Sent out price adjustment letter yesterday. Oh boy.
Literally, I was like, oh, here it comes. And it actually wasn't bad. I had a couple people that were like, you should have done this like sooner. You know what I mean? They're not gonna like say it, but then when I did, they were like, well, yeah. I only had a couple really push back. I didn't lose anybody from the price adjustment. I did lose people to like the summer. I lost 4 people to the summer, 3 of which started back again yesterday with school starting, or 2 days ago. I'm sorry, with school starting. So, it's good. And I was like, hey, we increased our prices. They're like, okay. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, right. I think I might have made it a bigger deal than it needed to be, but I definitely I stand by like what I believe in here. I believe in what we've created and I stand by it. And, I'm going to charge accordingly, and I'm done undercutting myself. I'm done. So it's good.
There was I was stationed in Japan a long time ago, and we would always do this picnic. Like all the ships and commands, Navy commands in the area would do a picnic in this park, and so it was all like U.S. things, and the Japanese, the local population would like come through and stuff. And the first year I was there, the one guy who had done the year before, he was like, "Hey man, everyone's going to try and sell their hot dogs at like, $1.50 or whatever, the equivalent, he's like, I got to tell you, the Japanese actually are more attracted as a culture to things that are, especially if it's like Western, they're way more attracted to things that are more expensive." I was like, what the hell are you talking about? He's like, so I'm telling you, we need to charge $5 per hot dog. I was like, that is absurd. There's no way that they are going to buy it. So we did. We made our hot dogs $5. The hamburgers were like $8. Sodas and drinks and stuff were all the same. We sold out in like 25 minutes. And it was no different than any other hot dog.
No better, no worse, no anything.
We just charged.
Concept.
We just charged 3 times as much. And everyone was like, oh, those must be the best hot dogs. And of course, the one senior chief that was like kind of guiding us, he had been stationed in Japan for like 20 years. He was married to a local Japanese woman. Like he had done like all kinds of like ancillary, like these are the best hot dogs. They're like some bullshit signs and stuff, and totally made up. So we had a very good marketing arm that was working to justify the cost and the value, but it was awesome. And it taught me a lesson of like you just said, you charge what you're worth and then deliver on that value. You will have credibility with those people forever. And it's sort of that, like, it's an interesting, I think of that sort of like restaurants around here that they're okay, but they like charge a little bit more. Like what makes, like, if you ever come into town center, like what makes Cooper's Hawk as a restaurant so much better than say like Glory Days in Edgewater? It's the same effing burger. It's the same meat. Like it's the same thing, but you're going to pay twice as much for the burger at Cooper's Hawk than you do at Glory Days. And I'm like, why? Like, what is it about that? Is it the wine that you can get at Cooper's Hawk? Is it the environment? Is it the whatever?
Yeah,
in the end, it's what's that?
I said that presentation of like a fancy restaurant with high dollar wine and this and that, or a sports bar.
Perception is reality. It's all about perception,
and that's value.
Kind of what Eric and I, at Denver at the Best Hour thing was like, rising tides to raise all ships. Like, if we all do this together and we're all better together, then we don't need to have like those gyms that are like undercharging and just, not delivering, because we will all rise to the top. It's like, here in town, there's another CrossFit gym here in town. I went there 2 times, 2 times too many. But everyone's like, oh, what if they were to close? No, I don't want them to close. I want them to do better, because they're going to push me to do better, and we're both going to be better together. And then CrossFit's going to be better. So last week I was in Florida with my grandma for a knee replacement. Me and 2 of my kids, we were down there, and I did a drop-in at this gym. It's also a Best Hour gym, CrossFit ENG. Dale is the owner. I don't know if you know him or not. Awesome guy, awesome gym. What an amazing space. And we were talking about, pricing and all that stuff. And he's like, I cannot get the other gyms in town to go on board with this whole like theory of like all of us doing better. He's like, people are calling and being like, oh, well, you pay this much there. I can give you a price for, $30 less and come over here. And, that kind of a thing. And it's just so sad. Like if we all just do better together, we'll all raise everybody up. So, I'll charge $5 for hot dogs.
Yeah, right. Which actually everybody did the next year.
Exactly, right?
And it just sort of leveled everything out. But yeah. And unfortunately, that's a really good point, because then it's a question of how are you measuring your success? And if you're just measuring it in bottom line, like you made, a certain X amount in revenue last year, and this year if I'm measuring success simply by, I need to make more this year, I need to have more members, I need to have whatever, then that method of sort of what's the asymptotic limit of rising if it's a question of just financial measures of success, right? And I don't have an answer to that, but it's not. Right. I mean, there always is, even if we go all the way back to what we said earlier, there is another qualitative measure of that success. Maybe the better question as an owner, just as a human being, is, have you defined those for yourself? What are those other measures of qualitative success? Because at some point, quantitative is it's got to cap out.
Right. You can only fit so many people. You can only charge so much.
Right.
Which I feel like those ones are harder to define, or at least make qualitative. So like, yeah, that's I feel like that's a hard one. Like when you have to dig deep, like what is the highest tide? I guess is what you're saying, right?
Yeah. Well, self-expressed. I mean, Danielle openly said it, that's all your feels, man. And I don't know about that guy. He's a little less right. That one.
That one.
Yeah. Not always the most willing to openly talk about those feelings.
I've heard him. I've heard it. I've seen him. I have heard him. I'm not a hugger, and I have hugged him. So there's that.
He's a good hugger.
He's a good hugger.
Yeah.
Hug him again soon. It's so hard. You guys are not that far. Literally, I'm closer to you if I went there by water. But it's so hard being like busy in the days, and just the summer was horrendous, and now school's back. I'm like, yes, good. Like maybe I can come up and say hi, get a workout in.
Yeah, there's plenty of times I thought for sure I'd be taking the kids like my in-laws in Kent Island and be like, oh, I'm gonna drop them off and come to your spot. I mean, I feel like I never went over there.
No.
But yeah, you're not too far. Plus I love Easton. I kind of want to. Easton's a nice little place. It's just you're about an hour.
Yeah.
Well, I'm from Annapolis. It's a little bit further from me now, but yeah, it's not too far.
Not too far. Just got to make it work.
You said to you in Easton, it's like, oh, I didn't realize there was a gym in Easton. And you're like, oh, there's two of us. I was like, oh, even better. Easton's so small. Because I feel like I was out there one time. I was like, man, I feel like I remember saying to myself one point, it's like, I feel like a CrossFit gym would do well in Easton, but it'd be small because Easton's tiny. And then, like, once you get outside, there's not much.
I don't know. So here's the thing. I live like 3 miles from here, and I only go my house in here. So I don't really know much about let me see.
That's how it used to be when I used to live a half mile from the gym. And I rarely ever, because that's when we first opened. Because we're kind of down, we're landlocked, we're down on the peninsula. And we first opened, Jack was doing a little market research. And, we found like the businesses down here. I think was it True Value that does they'll do the
credit card. They track the zip codes on the credit cards, and 90% of their credit card. I was talking to the owner of the complex, one of the places we were possibly exploring, and he was saying when he used to he just now owns the whole complex. He doesn't actually run the True Value, but he was saying, and one of the reasons he knew they were going to be successful is because on that peninsula, he could charge like 15% more for a lawnmower or for a rake, but people won't drive 10 minutes to Home Depot to save 15%. They would rather just go to the True Value, but he could track the credit card transactions by zip codes, and 90% of his credit card transactions were the 21403, which is the peninsula zip code. And he's like, yeah, nobody wants, it's that little bottleneck. It's this one light. He's like, if you can get everybody on this side of the peninsula, they'll never leave. Like they leave to go to DC to work, right? And come home. So you either got to get them on their way out, or you got to get them on their way in.
Yeah.
Wow,
Mark, have that. You guys have that spot.
You put all your ducks in a row before you open. I was just like, I just need a building with high ceilings.
Yeah. I have a buddy. He's one of the original. Was in my garage, in my neighborhood, and he works, does like map. He's a cartographer by trade, but now works for like super secret spy stuff,
Ooh, cool.
and like satellites and mapping and things.
Yeah.
But one of his original jobs was going to be with McKinsey Group, and they do heat mapping. So there's actually an app that's free online. It's not an app, but it's a site online where you can put in certain like filters, and it'll give you heat circles based on zip codes and sort of like census. It pulls sort of the unclassified census data and kind of can create. And so like, I want median home income of blah, blah, blah. And I want they, average drive this far from home, blah, blah, blah. And like, you can see very specific heat circles. And one of them that we pulled up was like, for this area, for the Southern Peninsula, Annapolis, Southern Peninsula area. People don't commute more than about 10 miles. And if you look, okay, so within a circle of 10 miles, at the time there was 12 Labors, True Core, and Bay Dogs, CrossFit. And so
Bay Dog's kind of an outlier too. Like they're
up in Savannah Park. So, but it's still it was still within a 5. I narrowed it to a 5-mile radius. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You would say, there's already 3 gyms. Is a 4th gym really going to, but there was over 100,000 people living in that circle. And so just do the math on that. If we needed 50 clients for he and I to initially take home, outside of just coaching classes, to take home a $500 a month salary.
Right.
We needed 50 people to pay the bills, keep the lights on, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. That's 200 people. And I was like, 12 Labors has been around forever. That's where we all started. True Core has been around long enough. Like, so let's give them 200. Let's give Bay Dog 100. Plus they get to pull from like Savannah Park and other blah, blah. Yeah. I was like, so 50, we need 50 people. I think we could find 50 people out of 100, out of the remaining 99,875 people that are in the area. I think we can find 50 of them. Maybe even 100, maybe even 150 of them.
If you're getting crazy. Yeah. If you want to make this a party. Yeah. So, I just looked, Houston's population is 17,000.
Right? Like you're telling me you can't get 0.1% of that to get yourself to that 150, 170 mark. 0.1% of that population to
harder than it looks.
Well, that's what I mean. Like on paper, by math, it's like, that's a piece of cake.
Nothing.
So then it's the question of, all right, this is the part that I think Fern does. I'm not sure. Jason, actually is the one who I'd heard of CrossFit in like 2006, but Jason and I went on deployment in 2009 to Iraq. He was a supply officer out of Virginia Beach, and I was an operations officer at a EOD unit. And so I took him with me as my supply officer, and he brought a Connex box of equipment and was kind of like doing CrossFit and running classes. And he kept me like, hey, Jack, you should totally do CrossFit with me. And I'm like, yeah, I've done it. I'm good. So on the last day before I was leaving, because I was rotating out early, we did Fight Gone Bad. And I was like, this is horrible. And so I credit Fern for introducing it to me in a way that it actually stuck. So he and I we share a lot of like perspective on things. And one of the things I think he does really well is, just because the numbers tell you that this should be easy, when you're not getting the results that you expect, the numbers are never going to tell you why you're not. And so that's the part where we would have conversations about, like you said, what's your SOP? So if I'm that new person walking through the door, do I know what my next 3 months look like? Mm-hmm. And if I don't, you're never going to keep them. Right. But if they do, and then they like, so tomorrow is going to look like this for you. Next week is going to look like this for you. Next month is going to look like this for you. And in 3 months, you'll be here, and you hit every single one of those wickets with that person. They will be your client for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
Because you've established that authority and that consistency and that legitimacy that they'll never leave. You could charge them $1,000 a month. They're never going to leave. And that's the part that like kind of hit home for me, and we would equate to it. It's the same thing on like a deployment. If I tell you deployment's going to be 5 months long, and then 9 months later you're still on deployment, that guy's not staying in the Navy, because basically he feels lied to the entire time. But if it's like, hey, yeah, it's a scheduled 5-month deployment, but statistically speaking, you'll be lucky to be home in 7 months. So don't worry about the timeline. Let's just say 9 months from now, if you're still not home, we'll have another conversation. Now I've set the correct expectation for that person and their wife or husband and their kids and the blah, 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 and the whatever. It's that. Yeah. So I'm not sure how I got on this tangent. Anyway. Population density.
Maps.
Yeah. Sorry.
What's funny, being down in Shadyside now, I look around all the time. I'm like, oh, there's a piece of land for sale or for lease, or I see this old building that's up for lease or for sale. I just keep asking myself, I was like, I wonder if whether I decided to open up a second location, or what if I sold Fair Winds and knowing that I might be in Shadyside for a while. What if I sold Fair Winds and opened up a spot here in Shadyside? Because the same as Shadyside's a peninsula, same idea. It's just the population's not as concentrated as Annapolis. So I forget what it is. It's a little bit smaller. But I do that all the time. Like I look around and think to myself too, like living down there, like the closest grocery store is 10 minutes away.
Yeah.
And then anything outside, there's a couple small, but I feel like I see small business down there all the time. They last for a little while and then they're gone, and it is what that is. I also realize that there's it's maybe one of the reasons I moved out there too. There's less money out there, so the price would be different. But I'm always like, I'm curious, like I'm thinking about that all the time, is how important location is, but all these things that you need to think about from because what's cool about there's this one intersection. So when I'm coming, like I said, I'm down on the peninsula, there's this one intersection and I can head toward Deal, which people would take toward DC, or head down Route 2 down toward Annapolis, or if people need to head toward Baltimore. And so there's this one intersection where people that are either going to Annapolis or DC are intersecting all the time. I was like, that would be a sweet spot for a gym, because there's all this traffic. Same idea. It kind of similar to us. I don't know that a lunchtime class would ever really be a viable class here. Like even our 9:30 is our smallest class of the day. Those middle of the day classes, because people are, for the most part, are gone for the day.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be the same thing as it'd be that catching people on their way to and from Annapolis or DC, or catching them on their way back. And I remember we found our spot too. There was already a bathroom and a shower, and the previous tenants had ripped out all the fixings and stuff. But we were thinking oh, cool, we have this bathroom and shower. Well, nobody really uses it because they're probably driving by their house on the way out anyway if they're going to work, so they're probably going to shower. You got foggy there, Jack.
I went fuzzy there.
But it's funny, these little things where it's if you want to open up a spot, definitely do a little bit of research around too. Just because you open it, maybe you have the best coaches and you have the best programming and you have the best facility, may not matter at all. So I was really thankful just that little piece. I remember when you came in with that little piece, where 90% of the people, when you live down on the peninsula and want to stay on the peninsula, that was a big driver for sure. So anyway.
I keep looking for buildings here, and everything is so expensive.
Yeah.
And there's 3 millionaires in town that literally just buy you just can't compete. And do any of them do CrossFit?
Get them.
Well, no.
Oh,
one of them.
Yeah, you could totally hit them up and be like, there's your Elon
33% of the millionaires.
Yeah, that's all I need.
That's your Easton version of Elon Musk.
Yeah, I just need something. I need something because I can't. I don't want to say we're outgrowing our space, but we're outgrowing our space. I'm like, oh God, I need to do something. Plus, I think it would just be cool just to own a building and just be write yourself checks, man. That would be awesome. Yeah. But it's everything is so expensive right now. It's wild.
Yeah.
I mean, Annapolis is expensive, just period. But
I think Maryland in general. I think I saw something. Maryland is Maryland might be. There's definitely top 3 most expensive states, based on I guess most expensive. I guess richest states based on annual income. Maryland was top 3, if not number 1.
It's so funny too because living on both sides of Maryland now, when we lived in Montgomery County, right? Like there's a little bit of everything in Montgomery County. We moved up to Carroll County. Same thing. You have like, these gorgeous horse farms. Then you have like shacks around it. You move over to the shore and, the houses on the water are really, really nice, but you drive, 1 block away or 1 mile away. And all of a sudden you're back into like really dilapidated. So Maryland is a really, really interesting state. It really covers, and I've seen all sides of it at this point. It really covers, a lot of demographics, a little bit of everything. Yeah. Crazy. It's interesting.
Cool. Well, we don't want to keep you too much longer. We know you're so busy.
Oh, look at me. Dying. No, I'm just kidding. I'll finish in the 3rd class. It's not a big deal.
Well, we always, so again, this because you're a regular listener and watcher. We finish, so every episode we finish off with a gratitude for the week. So ending on a high note, and whatever that might be for you, and anything from like a person to a place to a coffee you have.
First or last.
And so that's our little end of session routine is a gratitude.
All right, go ahead, take it away.
Okay, take it away. I'll start. I think mine is mine. So mine this week. It's actually it's sad in my world of professional wrestling, but there's this one particular wrestler who actually passed. You laugh. This one professor wrestler, he passed away on Thursday, and he was only 36. He was. It's like he had COVID back in March, and I think he had some issue with his heart that was giving it. He was having complications following that, and he basically ended up having a heart attack, and it's really sad because he was young and he was, but he was one of those guys. His character Bray Wyatt was this very. He's had like different iterations of it, but it's always been one almost like. Again, in the world of professional wrestling, like anyone knows like the Undertaker, right? Like Undertaker was like the Walking Dead man, and it was so outside of the realm of like there really aren't people summoning the powers of the dead and making lightning come out like this stuff. But for some reason, like the guy that was the Undertaker made it work. That it like he was able to do it for 20, 30 years, and it's just one of those like the beautiful things of pro wrestling is that suspension of belief, and you can sit there and watch this guy that has these powers and really enjoy it. And maybe if you're into it, and this guy that recently passed, he was kind of, people would argue he was kind of like the next generation's kind of Undertaker, where his characters had these really like out there and bizarre stories, but his creativity in these characters was just like limitless and endless. And the stuff that he would, if it was anything else, you'd be looking at it and be like, all right, I know it's pro wrestling, but this is a little much. But you bought into it for whatever, like you bought into it and you would get invested in this character. And then it's cool. Like he was creepy and he was out there and he was like a horror movie character, but you bought into it and you rooted for him. And so it's unfortunately he passed away, and it was cool hearing all these people that knew him that they're constantly talking about like, this character, the Fiend that he created that was like this monster, but he was like the sweetest guy, and he was always there like helping other people out, and how creative he was, and then like WWE did this really great like tribute to him on one of their more recent shows, and it was really well done. Like it was really cool the way they kind of paid homage to him. So it was is one of those things, again, as someone who's grown up watching pro wrestling, and I do have my tickets for WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia next year already for both nights. Okay. So long-winded story. It was someone who was. It's really sad because it was really cool. He was only just getting started, so it was really sad. But I guess my gratitude is like that guy Bray Wyatt. So if you want to go watch anything crazy weird, watch stuff from him. It was really creative. So that's mine. Long story.
That's a good one.
Done.
Jack, go ahead.
You want me to go?
Yeah.
All right. Well, mine's I think it might be a little cheesy, but it is my fitness. It is the level of access, capability, flexibility that it offers. My twins, I have 3 boys. Oldest is 19, and twin 17-year-olds who are seniors in high school, and they're playing golf. this is their last season. They're good. They're top 2 on the team. So they're shooting in the mid to high 30s, low 40s every round, which is kind of cool. But you can walk along with them. And so basically I go out with the first one and hopefully the second one's in the next pairing. But if not, sometimes they're separated. So I'm cheap ass son of a bitch. So I don't want to pay for a cart to ride along. But my dad came on Monday to watch them, which is cool. My dad was a really good golfer and has kind of been a part of getting them to play. But he can't walk, but maybe, a foot or two. Like his whole day is like he's always kind of gaming where he needs to park or where he needs to be so that he can walk from A to B. And then that's it. Like, so and it is what it is. It's, been that way for a while now. So he makes it work and he's awesome in, figuring it out and not trying to be too much of a burden on other people. But we got a cart and I got a cart for the first time and it was fine. Like it was nice to ride in the sense, but it was really frustrating and really restrictive. And like half the time I'm jumping out of the cart and just walking to where I want to be anyway. And I looked at, for the last 4 matches, there's myself and like one other mother from another kid's, one of the other players on another team, another high school. We're the only ones walking. Everybody else is in carts. And I was just like, huh. And so friend is going to come watch today. And I was saying to him, I was like, I walk, I got to tell you, you can get a cart if you want, but the walking is, I find it much better. And it's Drew, by the way, Eric, same guy I was talking about, the map guy. And I said, you can be like the other parents and get a cart, but I'm pretty sure none of them CrossFit. So you do whatever you're going to do. And he just texted me back, he goes, I'll walk. Because I'd given him like this whole thing of like, but I mean, if you want to ride a cart, you can't. Totally shamed. Yeah, totally shamed him. If he
originally wrote, I was going to ride a cart, but I'll walk. He just erased the first part.
Yeah. But it made me realize the ever-growing gap between people's fitness. And it's not always just because you CrossFit, but I have to believe there is there's an element to those who do CrossFit being fit or being capable, physically capable, does kind of become such a cornerstone and foundation to what I consider a part of my identity and who I am, that it is like just completely out of sort of my mind that I would get a cart, right? Like just, and so it is, in a sense, I'm like, fuck, like I'm pretty grateful for that. Like that's because think of like a couple bounces here and there in the trajectory of your life, getting a cart wouldn't be weird. And so it's this like just absolute differentiation. And I was like, I'm pretty grateful because it's nice to have that option and that flexibility and not have to worry about like, am I really going to be able to make it through the round? Like, can I walk? Blah, blah, blah. So my fitness, that was a really long way to say it. I'm grateful for my fitness.
But also like
whenever like I'm waiting for an elevator, I'm just like, I'm going to take the stairs. Because I'm like, an elevator can take, so I only need to go 3 floors and I'm waiting forever this elevator. I'm like, I feel that way sometimes when I'm just like, I'm just gonna take the stairs. I'll be fine. I can climb 3 flights of stairs and be fine.
And if I can't, there's a problem.
Yeah.
I agree. The sentiment to that, we go, well, not since I opened the gym, but before I opened the gym, we used to go camping a lot with our kids and we would never rent the cart. Right? Like we will walk and my husband, as much as he doesn't do CrossFit, he is active and people look at us like, oh, why are they walking? Like, why aren't you walking? Like you clearly need to walk more. So yeah, I get that. I would also be the one that was like, nope, I'm good. I'm walking. You go to the airport and everyone's taking those stupid things and they just stand there. I'm like, yo, you can't walk that extra 50 feet. Like, come on. But you look at them.
I like the race fee on those. Fee will get on the walkway, and then I'll run next to it, try to race her on it.
Yeah. That's awesome. So I have 2 grateful things. I have 2. I'll keep them short, though. I'm very grateful that school's back in session. Very grateful. It's been
The
a very
most
long
wonderful time of the year.
My kids are 7, 5, and 2, and 2 boys and a girl. So the girls stayed in daycare. My 2-year-old stayed in daycare all summer. So that was well worth money well spent. A lot of value there. But the boys ended up being with me all summer, and I learned something very valuable from them. I can't be a good mom and a good business owner at the same time. I can't do that. And it was very difficult. But it really, and I didn't get shit done this summer with either, right? Like, because I was trying to do both and I couldn't do both. So I'm very grateful. Not that I don't want to be around my children, but I need that space so that I can now professionally grow and go forward. And also get them the fuck out of my face, because I don't care that you can do this. Right? So there's that. Yeah. And then my other thing that I'm very grateful for is actually for people like you guys, because it helps me not feel alone on the island of ownership. And even if you're not an owner anymore, like you did it, you did the damn thing, like you completely understand. And that's really important to me, because, going through this crazy dream that I had to own a gym, like I literally feel on an island sometimes. And that's when I'll reach out to Eric and just be like, oh my God, bro, like this. He'll be like, it's fine. And he'll call me and we'll laugh and everything. But so I'm really grateful for people like you guys that like get it, have done it. And I can always ask questions to and talk shit about with you about it. So I appreciate that. It's very helpful. It's very helpful.
Welcome. And the feeling is mutual. I'm heartened and invigorated by hearing your story. Like it really, I ain't gonna lie, like it's sort of I have a sick FOMO happening of like, right? And you're like, you're an idiot.
No, I don't think you're an idiot at all, but know that, it's not
right. You may want to go back and read your journal, dude, from a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Remember that time that it was really hard and you wanted to cry every day, but you didn't? Yeah. No, but it is super helpful. Like when I went down to Florida and was talking with Dale from CrossFit ENG, like again, like the same thing. Like it was just cool just to talk to other people that are, you're not alone. You're not alone. Even though, like my husband, also a business owner, but I can't talk to him about this. He doesn't understand. Not his fault. He just does a different type of business. So it's really nice to be able to like talk and connect with people that like actually get it.
I'm so happy for you. I'm really excited for your chat for the wellness thing too. Like I'm excited to hear kind of how that goes. And I think you're just crushing it with getting it integrated into your culture that early. Like that's good on, like that is your humility to recognize like I'm not a business owner, but you are it. But the funny thing is you're a damn good fucking business owner.
That's funny.
Like that, and like that recognition of like willing to admit I don't know what I don't know. And so why keep hubristically like just muscling through it and be like, no, I need this. I don't know how to do it. So you're going to do it for me. Like that's to me, like that is by definition.
That's like a pro business owner move.
That's a pro business owner move. So good. So really good job.
Thanks. No, that's from day one. From day one of opening this gym, these doors, I have said to people like, I will coach you in CrossFit until the cows come home. I am a good CrossFit coach. I'm a solid CrossFit coach. I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to my business. So like, there's a comment box somewhere, open dialogue, open door, like please, to a point. But so it's always just been kind of, hey guys, I'm new at this too, so bear with me. And it's worked out really well. Having that humility has really worked out well. People I think I've worked for some bad owners. So I get it. And I do my best to not be that way.
Well, this was an absolute pleasure of a surprise. And I'm very happy to have met you, Danielle. That was cool. So thanks.
My oldest son's name is Jack. Well, his name is John, but we call him Jack. So
guilty as charged.
Yes.
Thanks, Mom and Dad. So is it John or is it Jack?
Why is it Jack? Where do you get Jack from John? I'm like, Lord.
Forget it.
Short story long.
It's good. It's a good move. It makes his first day of school actually much more enjoyable. People will remember him.
One more quick gratitude. Whoever Nismo is, thank you for agreeing with us at something at 8:40 this morning. So our one listener today, Nismo.
It's a Russian troll.
Yeah. Whatever we said, they agreed. So there we go. All right. We are out.